Daxon Recaps channel is here again. Thanks for tuning in to watch my videos. So let's get right into it.
In a Grand Budapest opera house, Joe, a seasoned hitman, seamlessly blends into the audience while keeping his target within sight, surrounded by vigilant bodyguards. As the performance begins, Joe quietly makes his way to the upper levels. Moments later, a bodyguard notices an unusual movement behind a curtain and moves to investigate, only to be swiftly ambushed and silenced by Joe's blade. Concealing the body, Joe advances down a dimly lit corridor, eliminating another guard with a precise shot before locating his target on a private balcony. The man, sensing the inevitable, frantically offers Joe triple the payment to spare his life. Unmoved, Joe delivers a fatal shot to the head. As panic grips the target's companion, Joe briefly locks eyes with Mays, the opera's leading performer, before discreetly making his exit. However, as he departs, an unexpected wave of dizziness and pain grips him, a sensation he cannot shake. Downstairs, another bodyguard notices a distressed woman fleeing and, failing to reach his boss, rushes to investigate. The grisly sight of his fallen comrades confirms his worst fears. Security soon spots Joe, armed, and moves to detain him. A chaotic shootout ensues as the bodyguard opens fire, striking down an officer before taking cover on a balcony. Pursued by another officer, he fires through the door, neutralizing the threat. Suddenly, the theater lights flood the scene, exposing the violence. Desperate, the bodyguard leaps onto the stage, triggering mass hysteria as the audience scrambles for the exits. Amid the commotion, Mays is knocked to the ground, her phone slipping from her grasp and crushed under the crowd. Joe instinctively helps her up, retrieving her phone in the process. Once outside, he sets her down, but another intense headache strikes, and before Mays can react, Joe disappears into the night. Back home, Joe realizes he still has Mays's phone. Seeking relief, he downs medication with heavy alcohol before collapsing into bed. The next day, he consults a doctor, who runs a battery of tests and suspects Joe may be suffering from the long-term effects of head trauma. While awaiting conclusive results, the doctor advises him to consider stepping away from his line of work. Later, Joe confides in his handler and closest friend, V, who echoes the doctor's warning and suggests he take a break, perhaps even find love. Torn between his instincts and an unfamiliar longing for something more, Joe ultimately decides to return Mays's phone at her dance studio. Grateful, she flashes a playful smile and hands him her number. Initially dismissing it, Joe quickly changes his mind, retrieving the number from the trash. That evening, he awkwardly texts her, leading to an unexpected date. Over dinner, they share laughter and stories, though Joe keeps his true occupation a secret. As time passes, Joe juggles his deepening relationship with Mays alongside his lethal assignments, traveling across Europe to complete jobs in France, Romania, Austria, and Switzerland. Their bond grows, and Mays becomes a fixture in his life, often spending nights with him. However, Joe's headaches intensify, his medication proving less effective. When his test results finally arrive, the doctor delivers a devastating diagnosis. Joe has a progressive neurodegenerative disorder with only 3 months to live. Reeling from the news, Joe rejects palliative care and delves into research, discovering horrifying footage of patients deteriorating into helpless shells. Confronted with his grim fate, he briefly considers ending his own life but stops, thinking of Mays. Determined to secure her future, he empties a hidden safe of cash and disposes of his weapons in the river. The next day, Joe approaches V with an unusual request, $2 million in exchange for his own assassination, ensuring Mays benefits from the insurance payout. V flatly refuses, unable to kill his closest friend. Left with no alternative, Joe turns to Antoinette, a former assassin with a grudge against him for murdering her father, a mentor figure in his past. Seeing an opportunity for revenge, she agrees to put out the hit, scheduling it for midnight. Once Joe departs, Antoinette sends the contract to elite assassins across Europe. In Switzerland, Lovital scoffs at the offer and declines, but in Prague, Go Young and his crew showcase their deadly efficiency in a karaoke bar before eagerly accepting the mission. To ensure success, Antoinette also enlists the ruthless Langosh brothers, known for their grotesque executions. Unaware of the looming threat, Joe takes Mays on a final date. Max, Antoinette's enforcer, shadows them from a distance. After a heartfelt yet painful breakup, Mays leaves, heartbroken. Joe drowns his sorrow in alcohol, recording a farewell message confessing everything, his illness, his profession, his love for her. In a moment of carelessness, he sends the unfinished message prematurely. As if on cue, his doctor calls with shocking news. There had been a mix-up in test results. Joe is perfectly healthy. Realizing he has just placed a hit on himself for no reason, Joe scrambles to fortify his home with traps. At midnight, Go Young and his crew arrive, expertly avoiding Joe's laser sensors. Hoping to call off the contract, Joe announces its cancellation, but Go Young refuses, citing the assassin's code. A brutal fight unfolds, with Joe using knives, shattered glass, and sheer ferocity to eliminate the gang one by one. The battle culminates in Joe slaying Go Young with a knife pulled from his own wound. Before departing, he grants Go Young one final courtesy, lighting his cigarette, before igniting explosives that obliterate his home, erasing all remaining threats. Intent on cancelling the hit, Joe contacts Antoinette, allowing her to keep the money in exchange for calling it off. She refuses, doubling the bounty and alerting even deadlier assassins. Seeking refuge, Joe turns to V, who tends to his injuries. With no firearms available, V provides him with leftover explosives from a past mission. Meanwhile, Antoinette's cousin Manny and Low Vital move to abduct Maze, but she overpowers Manny before Low Vital subdues her. Joe lures the assassins to an abandoned castle, where he methodically turns the fortress into a battleground, rigging deadly traps and donning makeshift armor. The Mackenzie brothers fall first, ensnared by tripwires and finished off in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The ruthless party girls arrive next, launching a relentless assault with grenades and automatic fire. Joe uses their own momentum against them, outmaneuvering them and dispatching them with lethal precision. A fierce showdown with the nimble Potash follows, their fight an intricate dance of skill and speed. The duel ends in a fiery explosion, leaving only Potash's signature boots behind. Meanwhile, as Low Vital and Max prepare for their final strike, Maze regains consciousness. She cunningly manipulates Manny, leading him into a false sense of security before escaping. As Low Vital closes in on Joe for the kill, Maze crashes a stolen car into him, turning the tide. During their escape, Joe finally confesses everything, including his mistaken diagnosis. In turn, Maze delivers shocking news: she's pregnant. Desperate to protect Maze, Joe takes her to a secluded church, pleading with the priest to marry them immediately. As they stand before the altar, exchanging vows under dim candlelight, Low Vital and Max launch a surprise assault, shattering the tranquility. The battle erupts within the sacred halls, bullets ricochet off stone pillars, wooden pews splinter under relentless gunfire, and stained glass windows explode into a kaleidoscope of deadly shards. Joe engages Max in brutal hand-to-hand combat, their fight spilling into the aisles. Meanwhile, Maze, cornered by Low Vital, uses her agility to evade his attacks. Just as Max gains the upper hand over Joe, Maze seizes a discarded weapon and, in a moment of fierce determination, delivers the final, fatal shot to Max. As the dust settles, Joe finds Maze, trembling but resolute, standing over the fallen enemy. Meanwhile, V tracks down Antoinette, confronting her for her betrayal. Their long, bitter history culminates in a swift and merciless execution. Antoinette meets her end at V's hands. With their enemies vanquished, Joe and Maze take time to heal, eventually celebrating a proper wedding, surrounded by those they trust. As they embrace their future, Maze playfully reminds Joe that raising a child is expensive, suggesting that perhaps retirement isn't in the cards just yet.
Thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and put down your comments below to let me know what you think about this recap story. Give this video a thumbs up and share for others too to enjoy. And see you on my next recap. Bye for now.